Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I'm going on live right now while Sir Desmond Chua is working on his getting his camera on. While wait for him to come on in to join us in this broadcast. Good afternoon again to everyone, and thank you for joining us in this particular episode. So today's episode is actually with Mr. Desmond Chua, and he'll be talking about building and developing your team during crisis. And since we are waiting for him to actually come online, let me just share a little bit about Mr. Desmond Chua's background. In his page itself, you will be able to see the premiere episode on how he got his team to handle the COVID-19 crisis. And he will also be sharing how he set up his team to see which of his team members have a lot of talents and he can groom them as well. Hi. Welcome to the Leadership During Crisis Online Summit series. Thank you for taking your time to watch these episodes. Please remember to subscribe at our YouTube channel, follow us on LinkedIn and Facebook under Leadership During Crisis. Desmond, with all these challenges that are presented with COVID-19, how do you think one can prepare ourselves during this COVID-19 crisis or when this crisis is over?
I think a very good question, because the COVID-19 has actually pushed most management team to the corners that we have never wanted to go, and never thought of going to. And this is really, really interesting. I find it that because, for example, who would think of using teleconferencing as frequent as possible, and you have to do it now. And also it gave us an insight of whether do we really need to put people in the offices to work, or do we can be more productive, because we have meetings and we can talk for 4 hours, we go around the points and points, but under the light of having conferencing through video conferencing and all that, everybody has to be prepared. So actually go to the meeting, you have to be prepared because it's your turn to speak, you speak. But in the meeting room, some of them never prepare for the meeting and you waste other people's time. And so I find that there are many things that is positive out from this experience, and the organization plus the individual all have to learn from the opportunities are laid right in front of you. And of course, there are many things that also make us review and think through on our operations, operating hours, time, manning of manpower, and how we do things, the processes. So do we need to really carry out certain services the way we used to do, or now we can actually forgo those old practices and introduce new ones, take the opportunity to change? For example, certain operating hours of the receptionist, can it be reduced to, to normal hours, and the rest we put it onto some platforms where people can actually continue to seek services if they need. So it is very interesting. But the bigger picture of things is that it also tells organizations that you need to build a good team to handle crisis. It informs the organizations that you need to set aside budgets for crisis, and communication management during crisis time is even more relevant. A lot of time, my natural reaction is when you talk about management by crisis, you do a paperwork. But through this experience, we know that paperwork and planning is just inefficient. There are many things to take care, like, for example, the morale of the staff that is at the front line. It's exactly what the SDF teach the commanders to do. So you need to put all this in place, and not just on the paper planning about crisis. The communication people will have to reach out far and fast, because we're in the social media world today, and customers are well informed. So your communication has to be accurate, precise, open, and sincere, and share with the customers the issues that you have to gain their understanding, so that you do not need to put a strain on your organization unnecessarily, because your staff are all quite tired, during this whole period of managing this crisis. So you need to really do a lot of juggling acts, a lot of balancing to make sure that everybody is in good shape to fight through this period of time.
Yeah, so Desmond, thanks for sharing. Now, the thing is, because your club is actually sprawling over a big area, when you mention about quick and precise communication, what are the techniques or tools you utilize to ensure the communication is correct and it's not filtered as well?
Okay, I mean, for us is that I think important thing is to have the comms team has to be very vigilant whenever they receive a piece of news. Of course, getting the authenticity of the source of the news is very critical. And how does it apply to our business? And then the operational people will then have to come in to work with the comms team, and then quickly they have to formulate information, they have to digest the information and formulate what needs to be broadcast out to the customers. And the important thing is they need to sort of also learn how to communicate effectively. It could be on social media platform, Instagram, Facebook, or information all to one source, which is our website. So we need to channel people to certain platforms so that we can reach out to the mass. So in order to do that, your communication and strategy and plan has to be there to sort of draw people to one platform. That's where you can then use that as a major direction for your communication. But it cannot be just one. Normally, it's a good mix of a few. And so the information that you gather has to be digested, has to be properly think through, has to be formulated towards the business, relating to the business, and then develop into a piece of information that is concise, precise, and clear for the customers to understand your views, your standpoint.
Great, thanks. Desmond, now we also
Yes.
know that in every crisis, there will be opportunities that will be presented. What would be your suggestions for an individual and an organization to prepare themselves now to tap on the opportunities that will be coming?
I think for organization is when there's a crisis, you will see your team moving into action. You will also observe individual players, their strengths and their weaknesses. You will also be able to see their reaction, their attitude, their perseverance in handling difficult matters or situations, and how good they are in representing them and solving the problem. So these are good opportunities to self-study your team, your management team, and look upon how else can you do after this crisis to help them and to even develop them. Or during the crisis, how do you then encourage them and how do you then help them to perform better? And opportunities like this will also tell you where are your weaknesses in terms that you need to really cover, take steps to improve it. For example, basically certain things like a certain response situation, operationally, how do you keep your people well informed, how to answer to questions by customers, and how do your people react fast enough if there's one regulatory come out and they have to carry out certain tasks to perform, and how thorough they are with the tasks and whether they think in long term or short term. So your team will perform differently. And these are opportunities for you to pick up and to help the team after the crisis. For individual wise, as for me, I think we realize the fact that we need to also keep ourselves, our well-being in a good shape, because we need to direct, we need to lead, we need to plan, we need to organize. And so we need to have good physical fitness and well-being in order to perform our job. So we really need to look beyond what just management does. And I think the COVID crisis make us understand that even in the working world, you would be required to perform tasks that beyond what your job actually prescribed. So you need to pull the business through. So it takes a lot of toll on yourself in order to plan and clear the air, clear the ground, align everybody so everyone can see a clear bottom of the muddy water. And so this crisis actually brought us to self-evaluate our own performances also. And importantly, train the next person in line or the younger leaders in our organization. In fact, I brought a couple of the younger ones to take leading positions to test them out and see what kind of grit they have in dealing with these difficult times. Yeah.
So there were also questions actually, I think on forums that we're discussing, in times of crisis, right? Do you think there's an effective leadership style that somebody can adopt?
I think the leader itself has to understand that everybody is fighting this together with him. You need to focus on the top issues, but you also need to try your best to reach as far down as possible, because your presence at the lower level is definitely a booster. The people out there on the front line dealing with all the difficult customers and situations, handling complaints, trying to get operations going under restricted manpower, long hours of working hours. They really hope to see that the leader is aware about what is happening. So your leadership has to be, in a way, very focused on your corporate plans and objectives, while you need to have the soft side that you need to keep your team there with you. It's a balancing act. You can't do this lopsided. You have to balance your act on the leadership front.
Hi, Desmond.
Hello, hi, Jeanette.
Finally, we got you on screen with us.
Yeah, but I can't see you.
You
But
can't
it's
see me
okay.
because
Yeah, but
I
it's
think you
okay.
came from the mobile phone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's
So,
okay. I think we can go on.
okay. And were you able to watch the episode before that?
Yes. Thank you so much.
No problem. And thank you for being on this episode with us. For those who just join us on this live Q&A, we just finished the episode premiere with Mr. Desmond Chua. He's currently the general manager of Keppel Club. Thank you once again, Desmond, for sharing and taking time this Saturday afternoon to share your experience and insights with us.
Yeah, it's my pleasure, and thank you so much also, Jeanette. Thanks.
No problem. So now, Desmond, I just wanted to check with you. It's been actually 2 months since we did this recording. I think that was beginning of April. So from your business and operations perspective, has anything changed since then?
Okay. Because we are in the recreational business, so it's not a non-essential. So actually, we're still continue under the lockdown situation. So the business remain locked down. However, the things do happen behind the scene. There are many things that we are doing. We are preparing when it reopens. I think especially towards the getting up the facilities and also implementing the precautionary measures that we have to do to make sure that everyone is safe, the customers and the staff are safe. And besides that, also we had to do quite a fair bit of planning in terms of the business itself, in terms of what we're going to do right up to 2021, the end of 2021, under such COVID situation. How does it affect the business, the financials, and what's in for us? And also, what can we bring new ideas to our services to members and also their guests? So all this, this lockdown period become a corporate planning opportunity for us and my team. So it is very interesting. It's never happened, never expected to happen, but we make the most out of every situation.
That's true. So we have a question that is coming in from Ed. Basically, his question is, thanks for sharing, Desmond. As the current environment is constantly changing, how does one, because I think you spoke about getting your young leaders to test their grit, how does one make good decisions? Is there any rule of thumb and approach?
Right. I think when it comes to such a crisis situation, making decisions require, of course, a very clear mind, and you need to take a lot of references. Okay, referencing points meaning that your decision has to be made with certain facts, certain situation facts that you can rely on, so that your decision will not be too far off from the reality when it comes, and the decision that you make will probably carry you through the whatever you need to solve. So I think you're right, it's constantly changing, and so everybody must be a lot more alert than the normal practice. Okay, so you may make some decisions to carry on to do certain operations, but things can change. So you have to monitor very diligently and observe what is happening and what are the news that is being broadcast out, from the situation. And just now you mentioned about younger leaders coming up. These are very good opportunities for them to go under pressure, and it's an excellent situation for them to experience it. They may fail, they may stumble and fall, but it's okay. As long as their spirit is high, their grit is there, they are all prepared to learn and overcome it. There's no perfect solution under such crisis situation. In fact, there's no perfect solution in any solution. So we need to, give, since they have the potential, then we need to give them the opportunity to make mistakes and quickly come back and carry on with it. Of course, they need to have the right attitude under such circumstances. The attitude is extremely important. And the capabilities, of course, is the next key factor to look at. Yeah.
Right. So, Desmond, I think from this question, we see that I think decision making is quite crucial, especially with someone coaching and guiding them. Now, what would be some of the other skill sets that you would want to see actually in a younger leader that you want to groom, besides attitude?
Okay, I think besides attitude, I think it's the thinking through process. How does the leader, how does the person thinks when he's put in a position to think of a solution? So he has to be very thorough in the fact that he must have a very good thinking skill. Thinking skills in terms of having the right understanding of the issues, able to diagnose very quickly and precisely the factors that is in the problem, and then he's able to dissect it, digest it, and again able to then reproduce it in his own views and what sort of possible solutions can be made out of it. And I think these are very integral part of the qualities that is needed. So I think for the skills, other set skills, of course, the person must have the commitment and also heart. If the decision made is involving people, involving the team to execute certain things, then the heart has to be there. You can't make a suggestion or a solution, not taking care of how the morale of the staff will go, and when during implementation and after implementation. So you really need to take care of A to Z all the way through and beyond that also. So the person that is in that position must have this kind of qualities and skills, the ability to see the problem, not just as a problem, but as a holistic approach in getting a good decision to be made.
Right. Thanks for sharing. So it's critical thinking skills, from what I gather,
Yes.
problem solving skills, as well as with both these skill sets actually having the heart to ensure that everything goes and implement well, taking care of the staff morale. Now, for somebody who's young, who may have actually been just stepping into the working environment, how can they train up their critical thinking skill sets and problem solving skill sets?
All right. I mean, besides all what has been taught in the business school or in the universities, all those theories about problem solvings and organization skills, I think experience plays an important part in one's development period. So the experience is that so through experience you gain a lot of from mistakes that you make, and you if you're quick, you're smart, and you're hardworking, these are not problems. This would be hurdles that you cross, and you learn how to then overcome bigger problems. And that's how you develop and you grow.
Right. So we have Ed actually saying, thanks for the tip. This is definitely a situation without a model to answer. Yes.
Right. Yes, we have to develop our own models along the way.
Yes, that's definitely the case. Now, let me just ask you, Desmond, from a business perspective, right? Because this crisis is actually something that has never happened before. So, as a leader, what are some of the things that you do to actually keep the morale of your team members up, or at least those who are maybe not ready to change? How do you get them to change?
Okay, so there's two parts to this question. I think
Yes.
one is what do you do to keep the morale of the people up,
Yes.
during this period of time? I think because you're locked down, you're all staying at home, distance will become an issue. The gap of working together is an issue. So we need to develop programs that we are able to then make sure that from top to bottom, we have a chance to connect with one another. I think during the last interview, I mentioned the fact that this COVID has given us the opportunities to really able to do the things that we don't do on normal working days. With this situation right now, you can develop programs whereby you can meet all the staff once a month to have a roundup session, department by department, section by section, if you have the time. But at least a department by department situation, as a overall leader, you have to do, and you keep in contact with them. And of course, you develop program. Like for example, for my side, I have a tracking program that is done by a group of trackers, appointed trackers among the staff from all the departments, and they will call each other. We'll track everybody, including myself, at different timings of the day to make sure that we are at home. We take temperatures, and the HODs will also call their own department people at 3 times a day, but no random timing. That was during the April and May circuit breaker. So the HOD will call them and check on their conditions, keep the morale of the staff high, check on them, how are they getting on. And at the first stage of the CB, we were glad that we actually implemented that, because we have a few instances where the staff actually fell ill. We have instances, unfortunately, one of the staff had a heart attack.
Wow.
And he passed on. He was very sick. He was very sad. But what amazed me was at the moment of the emergency, the family members actually call us, and contact us without any problem, because we were there calling them every day. So the daughter saw the father every day, having to WhatsApp us. I mean, the tracker will call him, and he realized that the club is actually monitoring him. So their family is also very happy that, the organization is taking steps and concern and care. So because of this practice, the daughter realized that, oh yeah, I need to contact the family. So we were contacted almost immediately when the thing happened. So you can see that the fact that the keeping the morale up and all that you never know. Like I said, there's no model answer. Emma was correct there. So we went into such a program. It turned out to be quite astonishing in terms of the results. Okay, and then now we move to phase 2, phase 1 of the lockdown, phase 1 of the unlock. So I told my HODs is, do not just engage them with phone calls anymore. Why don't we do projects? We have a charity event coming up. Why don't we brainstorm with everybody now? Right down to the bottom. Not say bottom. Right down to everybody. Ask them for suggestion. Work on them, even though they have very little ideas. But engage the staff that way. Don't make your phone call as a tracking phone call anymore, because your HOD. I want you to engage them. to sort of develop programs where they will call you back instead of you calling them every day. Why don't you do something, make it interesting, and get them to call you back? And so they won't feel that after 2 months you're still monitoring me, because some staff will feel, why are you intruding into my time, things like that. And so we have developed it into a more intense, integrated sort of program, and I always go along with the heart. So that's very important. So that will keep the team together, the morale together, and everybody is well connected. So this is something that I felt that we have done something which we never expected, that it was very good. It was a good program that put everybody together, and it's not just my opinion. I think it's all the staff have shared that out from their WhatsApp that we receive every day. Yeah.
That's nice. So
Right.
now we are 3 minutes away, Desmond. While we're waiting to see whether there are any questions come in, I will hide you a little while again and share with them your episode, more about yourself, as well as how they can contact you if they have further questions. So let me just hide you, and then I'll come back to you a little later.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. We are on the page of effectiveasianleadership.com. And if you click on the page Leadership During Crisis, you will see the various different episodes. And you scroll all the way down, you will be able to see Desmond's episode and click on it. So let me scroll down to his episode. Once you see the blue button and click on Watch Now, you will arrive at this page on Desmond's episode. And there are 2 episodes there. One is actually the recorded episode premiere that we actually watched a little earlier. And then you have got the blue button, which will be the live Q&A session. Once it's edited, you'll be uploaded on this page as well. And when you go further down, you can read more about Desmond, his experience. And when you click on keppelclub.com.sg, you also find out more about Keppel Club, what he does for the club itself. And like I mentioned a little earlier, the Leadership During Crisis Online Summit series, because there are a total of 30 episodes. So a lot of the episodes will have to be categorized. So we have it mounted on the learning.corporatetrainerconnect.com platform, where you can actually see the various different categories, and also During Crisis Summit series to look at all the various episodes. So let me right now just get back to Desmond. Hi, Desmond.
Hi.
I think this particular session itself also teaches us that no matter what we do in terms of testing, sometimes the technology just happens to not work at that particular moment in time.
Yeah, I mean, last time we used to panic, but now we are all very steady because we know things will happen. So we are better off now, so we
That's
learn
true.
ourselves.
That's true. That's true. The thing that I also like to ask you is, as a leader who has actually probably groomed quite a lot, and you talked about succession planning. So if someone who's actually a young graduate that just step out into the working world and things are constantly changing, what would your advice for them, for a graduate right now, to prepare themselves actually for an ever-changing working environment?
Oh, a very interesting question. I think it's very relevant right now. I think what we have experienced probably may not be too relevant to them at the moment, because I think the world has evolved very drastic, and I think for young graduates that comes out, they are a lot more smarter than us. They are a lot more well covered. The education system has developed through decades, and the vast difference compared to our time. So they are very capable people at the moment, definitely very knowledgeable, very capable. And so well, if you ask me a question, I would be humbly saying the fact that I think for the younger ones, the importance is actually attitude, again. But again, the question is ever-changing environment. So even you have the attitude will falls back as a backbone to support you to overcome whatever comes along. Because with the right attitude, you probably start off on the right foot, and as the challenges intense, the level intenses, then you will you will be in a better position to handle the matter, because first of all, your attitude is not just the positiveness of the attitude towards the problem, but also you will probably in a better person compared to others when it comes to leading, when it comes to taking additional responsibility that you never expected it could be given to you. And with the correct attitude, it will open up your chances of being easily spotted by the bosses or by the superior, where they actually look at how you handle things. So the issue of ever changing is that then the whole dimension of changes is, then you set it as a standard thing, regardless what kind of thing falls on your lap. Okay, but you have this sets of principle of attitude, work, and knowledge, and perseverance, and the fighting spirit to overcome it, and your clear mind that you wanted to achieve what you want to achieve, then you are able to do well compared to other people. Yeah.
Right. So what I gather is basically, I think you mentioned a set rule means actually the only constant is actually the ever-changing constant. So what doesn't really change is probably your attitude, your mindset, and the willingness to actually try and fail and take on additional responsibility. So once you have those as good guiding principles and mindset, then and keep change as a constant, then you should be able to survive. That's what I gather. That's your advice.
Yes, correct.
Yeah. So time really flies, Desmond. It's already 4:05 p.m. And I would really like to thank you for your time and sharing for this Saturday afternoon. So, and for those who have actually stayed online with us till now, thank you for taking the time to join us this Saturday afternoon. We hope you see you next weekend. We have another 3 episodes coming. So thanks everyone. Goodbye.
Bye. Thank you.